American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Pervis, and this is American Football in Finland. Today, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Coach Q and Chris Green. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on?
What's up?
All right, we're gonna get into it. The AFF podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcast, and you can see us visually here on YouTube. Wherever you listen or watch, be sure to subscribe, follow, and like us. Anyone who listens or watches but doesn't hit that button, we know you're a hater, but that's cool. On with the show. All right, it's first down. We'll get a chance to start fresh and discuss whatever's on our mind. Coach Q, what's going on with you, man?
Oh man, not much, man. I'm ready to get to the gritty, man, as always.
What about you, Chris?
We had a contact game yesterday against the Hearts Cheaters. We won 47-0 with my team, the Bristol Aztecs. And we got a big game going up next week. It's all for the 1 seed. Technically, on head-to-head, we're like 3-0 down. So we've got to beat them by more than 3 points to have the head-to-head over them. And then obviously win out the rest of the season to get the number 1 seed in the Prem South. So big week coming up for us. But yeah, it was a good weekend.
Man, every time you play tackle, if I'm not mistaken, y'all have like 2 actual games, and then the rest of it is just blowouts on blowouts on blowouts. Y'all, yeah, like I don't even know how that's set up out there. That y'all just run through everybody, and then y'all like, oh, we have 1 game, and then we don't hear anything else about close games until the playoffs again, like the championship or semis, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't know why.
what is it's you guys? Is it the Bristol Aztecs? That's the team you're on. And then the other good team is what, like the London Warriors or something like that?
Yeah, in the south. And then in the north, you've got the Manchester Titans. This year, the Newcastle Vikings, and then Tamworth Phoenix. So they're kind of like the 5 teams. I don't know why they don't scrap it and make it into like a national league now, like a full one national prem rather than a north and south divide, because the other teams just ain't cutting it.
Yeah. Tamworth, I remember them. They used to be high back in the day. I used to cover multiple leagues. I remember that. Nothing going on with me. I'm trying to think. Oh, one thing is going on with me. As y'all see, your boy got on this throwback Steelers hat because apparently I chose against them last week, and everybody from the Steelers was letting me know in the DMs. I appreciate y'all keeping me, honest about my picks, guys. So this episode for you guys, I'm rocking the throwback Steelers hat all episode. Just let y'all know. I appreciate y'all going out there and getting that win and proving me wrong. But let's get into it, man.
Calling all you football players. Are you ready to shine this midsummer? Join us at the AFF Nordic Challenge, June 18th through 21st in Helsinki. Showcase your skills to USA college coaches, train with some of the top coaches in Europe, and compete in one-on-ones. Get insider tips at exclusive recruiting sessions and seize international opportunities. You can even win big with camp-sponsored prizes. Space is limited, so register now.
Players of the Week is presented by Ballers International. Are you looking for a community? Are you looking for a brotherhood? Join Ballers Members. Ballers Members is a private group to service athletes. Ballers members are athletes coming together as men in a brotherhood environment. If brotherhood is something you're looking for, DM Ballers International at BallersINT on Instagram. So the players of the week have been announced on the social media channels earlier in the week, but of course we got to explain our picks in depth outside the stats. First up, offensive player of the week, Christian Arimbide. I never know if I'm actually saying his name correctly because it's Arimbide, and I keep saying Arimbide. It might be Arimbide.
I think it's like Arimbide.
Arimbide. Yeah, it might be Arimbide. I don't know why I say Arimbide. Well, that's because I'm pronouncing it like it's Finnish. That's why. And it's got 2 R's, so it may go R and then M. But it could be Arimbide because. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know his like lineage. Maybe he's Italian or something. I don't know. But anyways, C. Anthony. That's what we call him. C. Anthony. I think his middle name's Anthony or something like that. Because his Instagram is like Anthony. So call him C. Anthony. Yeah. So see Anthony, he had a hell of a game. And I'm glad he finally had a hell of a game. I've been waiting for this dude to like come out, and this was the one he did it in, and really exciting to see. I'm just gonna go through his stats and let you guys talk about him. But he was 22 for 29, 76% completion for 482 passing yards with 7 tutties. And then he had another 26 rush yards and 1 touchdown. So total, he had 500 yards of offense and 8 touchdowns. Just that's what he did statistically. But Q, what did you like about his actual gameplay that stood out this week?
Like you said, I'm glad we finally got to put him up here because he's been having some little intermediate games. Nothing crazy stat wise, but he's been playing pretty consistent. But this game, I think was his coming out game. We've seen him move the ball around the field like he's supposed to. He's a starting quarterback for him. I think they opened the playbook up a little more, and he was able to hit a lot of players open. But he looked good to me. I mean, he looked good. I think he's now in his mode of where he know where he fit on the team, and he's coming to a leadership role. And some leaders are like a little silent, but they speak through their play. And I think he's one of those leaders where he's always going to go hard. He's going to give you effort. And his effort put him up big this last game, and he deserved it. It was a good game for Christian.
What about you, Chris? Anything you want to add on there?
I just think he was real smart with the football. He spread the ball well. I mean, you can see that he had a 76% completion rating. He spread the ball out really well to multiple guys as well, not just one guy. It seems like he likes Rhino. He goes to him on big plays sometimes. And, getting Christian Powell the ball as well is always a bonus when you can get him in the passing game. So, yeah, he did his thing. I mean, 7 passing touchdowns through the air is massive. So, it speaks for itself, really. And he was elusive, just just did his job. Like, it was good to watch.
Yeah, it's good when he can do it, and it's like effortlessly. Like you could tell, like it was all part of the offense. He wasn't like trying to be a superhero or anything, but he was making all the right decisions, putting the ball in all the right places. And I mean, he got a hell of a arm, so he could do that. You saw what was that one play where there was like 2 guys, he threw it like in between them, and it went to the receiver in the back. Like, I mean, that's not something he does a lot, but he can. And he did it when it was necessary. He didn't force the issue. And it's just really good to see him have that like come out game in this fashion. But moving on to defense, let's talk about defensive player of the week, Jamarcus Henderson. I don't care about his stats because, again, sometimes these stats just don't be telling the story for defensive players. He had 3.5 tackles, 1.5 tackle for loss, 1 sack. But we were texting throughout the game. All we saw was number 3. Every play, like making his presence felt on that Porvu Butchers offense and basically deciding where they could go with the ball. Again, his stats, I don't know where they get these stats from, but he had a hell of a game, and we know that. So, Q, what did you see from Henderson in this one?
I think Jamarcus had a great game. Sometimes, like you say, the stats don't really show it. But if you watch the game, you see that he was real disruptive. He ended a lot of drives for Porvu. He gave their offense problems in that first half. He was like he gave them problems. He had Brandon Gwinner running out of the pocket. He got a sack. He just turned on a different motor. He always plays hard, but he showed up in a game where they really, really needed him too, and that was this game against some great competition. And that's what you want to see. You want to see a disruptive player, definitely on your D-line, getting pressure and just making the other offense, making it hard for them to do anything. So I think he had the best defensive performance this weekend, and so he rightfully so should be the defensive player of the week.
And what about you, Chris? What are your thoughts on Henderson's gameplay?
So, Jamarcus, for me, like echoing what Q said, he said he was causing them problems. This guy is a problem. That's right. I said it. He lives in the backfield, and I think his stats are really deflated, as we said. Like, he definitely had more than 3.5 tackles, but this guy, he's just a tough guy to block. When you've got a defensive lineman that's just a presence, and he's just in and around the ball, getting penetration all the time, it's really difficult to play cool around someone like that when he's just living in the backfield more than the quarterback. It's ridiculous. I mean, he just makes a massive difference to this Steelers defense. And like Q said, he stopped a lot of the Porvoo drives on key downs. So, yeah, he was a force to be reckoned with for the Steelers defense.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I know this is not the time or the place, but it's on my mind, so I have to say it. Finland does a really good job, like, of stats, like the live stats during the game, getting them up after the game. Like, they do a really good job. It's some of the best in Europe, and I stand on that, and it's great. But I'm going to be greedy, and I'm going to say, man, if we had, like, what is it? Is it pressures or QB hits or, like, one of those two stats? Like, if we had pressures, QB hurry. That's what I was thinking. If we had one of those stats in Finland, like, it would change the game for a lot of these players, because one thing that if you've watched the leagues that Maple League has had, the quarterbacks are very athletic. You don't get a lot of guys who are going to just take a sack. I mean, the least athletic quarterback in the league would probably have to be Ambro, and he'll get the hell up out of there and throw it. Like, that's the slowest, like, less movement quarterback you're going to get, which means a lot of these defensive players, they're right there next to the quarterback, forcing him to make either a bad throw or a throw he doesn't want to make, and then there's no statistics to back up how good they're playing. And that's what we saw from Henderson this week. Is he had a hell of a game, but statistically, there's just not a lot you can give him stats-wise. And I mean, it doesn't make any sense to do the QB hurries and stuff, but I mean, we already got some of the best stats in Europe. So, if anybody want to, add that stat, go do that. Or somebody wants to watch that film and throw it in there, just do that for your boy. Do it for the podcast. Do it for the culture. That's it for the players of the week. We'll get into the helmet stickers now. Let's talk about some of the key player performances from this week. All stats aside, these are players who deserve recognition for their play this week. Again, we have a list here, and you guys can take any of these players if you want to talk about them. Doesn't really matter. We can give them 1, 2, or 3 helmets depending on how you felt their performance was. Q, I'll let you go first. Throw out a name or two.
All right, I'm going first. Bryce Messina had a pretty good game through, I think 4 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. 365, 5 touchdowns. That's
5 touchdowns. Yeah, I knew it was 4 or 5. Threw for 365. Even though they lost, the reason I want to give him helmet stickers is because sometimes when you're trying to fight to win games, it seems like sometimes stuff just never goes right for you. So it was nice to see them put up some points. Even though they lost, it was nice to see them put up some points like that. To see, Robert's offense and what they're trying to do. It was just nice to see him move around, complete some passes, get the ball downfield, just to see the progress. So his stickers are strictly just for effort and progress. And that's why I gave them to him, because I felt good seeing that. Like, this is what we want to see. We want to see you, fighting games. Even if you don't win, we want to see, put some points up, give yourself some chance to win the game. And I think Bryce Messina did that this week. He showed that, hey, the Aloha Crusaders do have some fight in them. So that's where he gets stickers from me.
Perfectly said. Chris, throw out another name.
The guy I'm going to go to is one of the guys, Pervis, that you mentioned on the last week's episode and said who you need to get the ball to Bryce Messina, and that's Leonardo Sophocles, number 26 for the Crusaders. 9 receptions, 228 yards, and 4 tugs. He made some plays on the day, and like some deep balls. He made some toe tap catches on the sideline. Like, he was all over the place. Like, just being
he did some head tapping too. He was going on top of folks.
Yeah, boy,
he did a couple head tops.
Yeah. I mean, he was out there like playing ball, and he was one of the guys that really stood out for me this week as a playmaker in the receiving core. And it was great to see him. His coming out game, I guess. Like, yeah, I'm here. This is what I'm going to bring to the table now, and it's if he can be consistent week in, week out. But I mean, he's going to get 3 stars for that. I mean, that's a big stat line for him. 9 receptions, 228, and 4 tugs. Like, that's big. That's big for anyone. But yeah,
those are huge numbers. Those are huge numbers. I'm going to throw out a guy here, Timmy Nuika, from the Porvoo Butchers. I'm giving them 3 helmet stickers because I know the score of the game was what was it? 21-7.
21-7.
But I swear, if Nwika hasn't been there making as many tackles and he had 2 sacks in the game, if he hadn't did what he did, this game easily could have been 42-7 because they had nothing for them in the linebacker core outside of the fact that Nwika was everywhere. He made a lot of plays and held. I don't want to say held, but he did kind of keep that offense from being able to do what we're accustomed to the Steelers doing. So I'm giving him 3 stars because, man, you was out there balling. I think he had 14 tackles on the day, which is ridiculous. Just let you know how active he was, that he was able to make those tackles. And they were moving around. He's playing outside linebacker, middle linebacker. He's blitzing. He's going in coverage. He was doing everything that they needed him to do to keep that game within striking distance. And again, I will talk about the actual game later, but I don't blame the Butchers defense for what went down. That's for sure. Q, you got anybody else you want to throw out there? We can do at least 2 rounds of this. Let's give some people their flowers, man. I know you don't like
big performances this
there
week.
was some big performances.
Hey, it was a lot of good performances. I think Julian Bell was another good performance that I seen. He was active as hell again. Got another pick. I think he's going to be real big for the Roosters going into the rest of the season. Because you're going to need a guy like that. To me, and I'm throwing his name out there just to throw it out there. I don't think he is as good as him, but he's Slater-ish to me. He does have some of the tangibles to be like that guy on the defense who can get you that interception that when you need it. I think he's capable of doing that, and they need that for that defense, and I think he's a big part of it. And Julian Bell, another impressive game. Solid play everywhere in and around the ball. And like I said, got another pick and just a good game by him. So I gave him 3 helmet stickers for that.
All right. Julian Bell, I like it. What about you, Chris? Thought another guy.
I'm going to throw another receiver because you know me. Got a receivers union and all that. So I'm going to go with the Crocodiles. I'm going to go with their leading receiver for the week, which is Joel Sarkala. 4 receptions, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's the first time we've seen Joel put up numbers this season, and great numbers for him. He was getting open, topping guys. I mean, big stat line again. I mean, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? Like what he's able to do. We've always talked about him previously in previous seasons on the podcast and what a great receiver he is, what a great finish talent he is, and he just showed out in this game, and it's going to help them moving forward. Again, hopefully he can be a bit more consistent in some of the bigger games when they play the better teams. But yeah, I mean, he showed out and balled as best he could, and QB was getting into spots, getting him the ball, and he did what he needed to do. Got in that end zone 4 times.
I want to jump in on there on Yoel because I think it's crazy because, that's the other Sarkala. Yane has kind of been the guy for the last 2 seasons, at least on this podcast that we've been talking about. And Yoel, I'm not even sure if he played 2 seasons ago. I know he did play last year. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. Maybe he had to go to Army. I don't know. But there's always been 2 of them. And as they got a little bit older, the tall one is a little bit easier to see. Yoel's a little bit on the shorter side compared to his brother, but he's explosive. He's fast. And in this game, he was able to get, downfield and get open and make some key catches. And it showed that the quarterback is very comfortable throwing to him. And I think that's something to be said for the way he plays, is that he has, I don't know if this is even the right term, but he has kind hands, if that makes sense. Like his hands are the hands you want to throw to because, he'll give you a chance to make a play. He'll make a catch that maybe you shouldn't make because he'll make the quarterback right. So that's really good to see him have that kind of game. Now, I'm going to throw out a couple names at a time right here because I feel like they're all getting 2 stars from me, but it's 3? I got 5 players, and they're all coming from the Kuopio Steelers because they played a hell of a game. First guy I'm throwing out, Josh Taylor. 200 yards passing, 2 tutties, 40 yards rushing, another touchdown. He did all the scoring for the Steelers this game. If you watch the game, whatever Josh was able to do, when it came to the passing game, I don't think he had as good stats as normal. I think it was 57% completion, and that's more credit to the Butchers' defense than anything. is that there was a little pressure on him. His receivers weren't wide open like they've been before. So there were some situations where, the ball wasn't going to be completed, but it didn't slow him down because he used his feet so well. And he knew when to run and when not to run. And he really managed the game, which I know some people take that as a negative that he managed the game, but it was a game you needed to manage. These teams were much closer in comparison than what people want to say. So he had to do things that weren't as, high flying as they'd done in the past. But he still did it. Like, he still showed that in a game where they weren't able to dominate the other team, he was able to do what he needed to do to make sure his team was successful. So kudos to Josh for having a great game. And now I'm going to go down my list. Noah Choate, 6 receptions, 114 yards, 2 tutties. He has proven to be one of the better receivers in the league this year. He's made a step. He's taken a step up from what we've seen from him before in the past as more of like a gadget receiver, as he's legitimately a downfield threat now, especially with Josh Taylor looking for him a lot of times. And he's bringing those balls in that I think before he wasn't able to catch. And then in this game, we really saw that, he could be that go-to receiver if, say, Austin Brock is not available as much in this game. And not saying that he wasn't available, but Taylor saw a matchup with Choate that he liked and kept going to him. Next guy I'm going to go – actually, I'm going to stay on the offense for the Steelers, and I'm going to go offensive lineman, Basel Weber and Otto Makinen. These 2 linemen stood out for me in this game because they had to go against Jesse Vuoksentuda, and they won. Like, Jesse is hands down one of the best nose tackles in the league, and this is the games that I like to watch linemen play, when they play against really good players. And you'll notice Jesse was not as impactful in this game. These 2 guys were in charge of him all game. A lot of time, Basel had to take him on by himself, and it was a push more often than not, but he did win a couple of those matchups, which is all you can really hope for when you're going against a nose tackle. And then when Otto was brought in to help, he was able to do a lot of good things, and they were able to kind of get him off the ball sometimes, which is almost impossible. So kudos to both of them, and I know there's no stats to go for offensive linemen, but you played a real one, and you won. And that should be applauded. So that's why I'm giving you 2 stars. And then my last guy, Lars Steffen, safety from the Steelers. He was everywhere as usual. He ended a lot of plays. He was putting that final hammer on tackles and finishing things for them and making sure that the Butchers didn't get any of those extra yards that they like to get. And those are guys I'm giving stars to. Do y'all have anyone else y'all want to give stars to? I know I gave it a lot to a lot of Steelers.
I just want to piggyback on what you were saying then. Like, I love the fact that you've picked out 2 offensive linemen to give some stickers to. I mean, give those guys their flowers. Like, that offensive line of the Steelers is good. It's damn good. And I'm glad you give him some love. Also, just jumping on Noah Choate as well, I think his hands have just got better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his hands have just got better as the years have gone on. Like last season, as we said, we didn't really see that from him. But this year, it seems, like you say, he's catching more contested balls. He's making grabs that he wouldn't have made previously. So I think his hands have just got a lot better, which is great.
Yeah. Any other names y'all want to throw out there? Because I'm good on stars now, on helmets.
I think Ethan Greenfield had a great game again too, man. Ethan Greenfield is starting to be a person that I think everybody should worry about because he's a bowling ball, strong running, guy who the Roosters, I mean, they're using him how they're supposed to. Ambrose is still throwing the ball and moving the ball around, but when you got a running back like him who's like just beating down defenses and getting in it and finding his way in the end zone a lot, that's going to be a problem going on for the rest of the season, man. I know I talked about 2 Roosters players, but these guys are always.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it because I was thinking it.
It's just
I was just thinking.
Like, I try,
these Roosters.
I try not to look at like who they're playing against. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I see like what can be a problem for other teams, and I think Ethan Greenfield we probably haven't harped on him enough. But we talk about him, but he's been a problem for every team they play. You know what I mean? Like so. he's definitely, 3 stickers, 2 stickers, whatever it want to be. But he's showing up every game, and as an import, that's exactly what I expect you to do. So he's been balling. So shout out to him.
I give him 3 stickers, and I want to know is he just faster than everybody on the field in the last game? They played the Wolverines, right? And
Yeah.
every time he went outside, he got around the edge. That's not easy to do. Most linebackers take a decent angle that you can get maybe 2 or 3 yards. He gets around the edge and gets 15 yards all game. And I know the Wolverines aren't a great defense, but they got athletes. You're just running, and he just runs fast. Yeah, and he finishes runs with his shoulder down. But it's really impressive that I think we don't really see how fast he is, but he's extremely fast and a lot faster than I think he looks or that we've seen him do throughout the game. It's really impressive to see him get around the corner on those plays and then be able to get upfield and get extra yards that way. So I'm with you there for sure. Chris, did you have anybody else you want to throw out there?
No, I'm good. I think we got a good list there.
Okay. All right, we're moving on then.
Are you a fan of the American Football in Finland podcast? Show your support in style. Rock our logo proudly on hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, and snapbacks, all designed for fans like you. Join us in celebrating American football in Finland. Grab your gear and be a part of the AFF community.
Well, we all know what happened last weekend. A lot of wins, a lot of losses. But let's explain which teams actually won or lost their game. I think it should be easy this week. First game, you got the Wolverines versus the Roosters. Q, lead us off. Who won or lost this game?
Roosters won this game fair and square, hands down. Demolished. They just got too many weapons for the Wolverines. Just too good of coach team. And they're in stride right now. So the Wolverines, it sucks to see them lose the way they lost, but the Roosters is just getting in the mode. They're injured. They're getting guys back one at a time. But they're still trucking with a young squad. So they keep racking up those wins, keep padding the stat board. But yeah, Roosters won hands down.
What about you, Chris? Who won or lost this game?
I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this game. The Roosters clearly won. They were the better team. They steamrolled the Wolverines. And yeah, I guess Helsinki is red right now. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this. They were just the better team. Ethan Greenfield was unstoppable. They just did what they wanted to do in this game, and the Wolverines had no answer.
Yeah, I agree. The Roosters won. But I do want to ask this to Q. Can we stop calling this a rivalry, or does it just have to be a rivalry now?
It's got to be a rivalry, man.
Just think about the last time that it was actually a rivalry. From what I've been told too, some of the players just don't think it's a rivalry because of the huge gap between the two teams.
Yeah, probably because of some of the guys that's probably not on the team or around that was part of the rivalry time.
But that's what I'm saying.
The history of it may fade a little bit with the younger guys that they got, but I think to the fans, it'll always be a rivalry though. So
I don't know. I'm gonna go over my notes here of this game. First of all, shout out to the Wolverines because showed up with my daughter. They had the little signs out. We took a little photo, put it on the gram. They had the Wolverine signs everywhere. I was like, hey, man, okay, it's a home game. I feel you. And then I look out on the other side of the field, and it's 8 Roosters flags, the huge Rooster flag, and that's what's on the actual Rutu, because that's where the camera's going. And then I look in the stands, and everybody is wearing red. Everybody in the stands is wearing red, except for maybe me and 3 people wearing black. Everybody's wearing red. So, and I was wearing a gray shirt, sorry. So with that, again, I'm not sure it's a rivalry. And it's kind of crazy that the Roosters kind of still felt like the home team. But the Wolverines tried, and I appreciate the effort. The concession stands looked pretty good and stuff. I think I bought some food. I bought some salted peanuts or something. I try to give back. So it was a good experience. And then last thing I want to say is, I don't know if y'all noticed, but the Roosters helmets, those red helmets are really shiny. It's like not candy apple, but like all their helmets were shiny and looked clean, and like they were the exact same red color. And I know this is something crazy to talk about, but if you've looked at some of these other teams, like looking at the Wolverines, they had 3 different shades of blue on their helmets. Some of them had yellow underneath the blue. Like, it was crazy. But when you look at the Roosters, all those red helmets look exactly the same red. It matches the jersey, unlike some other teams like the Crusaders, who their like helmets don't match their jerseys because it's like a weird color. Like, anyways, I just thought that was pretty cool about the game, and I just want to throw a little something so we have something to talk about in this derby. So, going on to the next game, we had the Lawyer Crusaders versus the Seinäjoki Crocodiles. Q, who won or lost in this one?
Seinäjoki Crocodiles won the game. Better team, better performance. Just have depth enough to win games like this. Crusaders just didn't have enough. I don't think they were expected to win the game. I don't even think they were expected to compete in this game the way that they did. And like I said earlier, I was happy with the effort that they brought to this game. Sometimes you just don't have the guys, and I think that's what this game showed. You able to score, you're able to put points up, but you have to be able to have a complete game, and that's just something that the Crusaders have yet to show us yet. Yet have showed us or whatever. But I think the Crocs are just a better team. They're rolling, and it was a I won't say easy win for them, but they had control of the game most of the game. So Crocs won it hands down.
What about you, Chris? What are your thoughts? Chris, what about you? Win or loss for the Crocodiles and Crusaders? What you got?
I agree with Q. Yeah, the Crocodiles definitely won this game. They had great plays from their receivers. You got the Sarkers out there. You got Rhino as well, young receiver, up-and-coming talent, making plays. You got CP15 doing what CP15 does. And just the quarterback play for me was it was almost perfect. Like I could say. It was so good. It was great to watch. I mean, the Crusaders offense had some great success, so I think they found some holes in the Crocodiles defense, but the Crocodiles were just too powerful for them. It was one of those games. It was a weird game because there were so many points, but yeah, the Crocodiles definitely won this game, and I think they're just the better team right now. But I can see the Crusaders upsetting some teams this season. If they play on offense like that, every week, I can see them upsetting some of the top teams. Definitely.
What's interesting, I agree with you guys. Crocodiles definitely won this game. What's interesting also is that I'm trying to get this man's name right, Leonardo Sophocles. He also was playing defense in this game. He was playing safety and playing receiver, and still had a hell of a game. Between their imports, you have Sophocles, Messina, Moses Harris. Like they have good imports. Those guys are decent, especially offensively, but just not enough on their team. I do want to talk a little bit about the Crusaders though, because I saw a lot of improvement. I'm gonna throw out these 2 Finnish receivers they had that was making plays also. I think it gets lost with the stats and with Sophocles having such a good game that number 10, what's his name? Petrus Vertinen or Petrus Vertinen. He was out there. I think he had a touchdown. I think he had a touchdown on the game. 6 receptions, 57 yards. He was a solid part of the offense. Messina was able to find him on multiple occasions, which leaves you to start worrying about the Crocodiles' pass coverage. And then Sami Martikainen, the other receiver, didn't have nearly as many stats, but I think he had 3 catches on the day. And just the fact that he was able to make any catches is helpful for a team that doesn't have a lot of weapons. He was able to help them move the ball down the field. So I think that the Crusaders really showed that they could be a problem if it gets tight against one of these top teams, or even especially against a lower level team or these mid teams. I guess we got a lot of mid teams this year. So against these mid teams, they might be able to get an upset here because they're starting to put things together. And I got one last note on here, but I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna let it ride because I think we're talking good about the Crocodiles. I don't want to say nothing negative. So the last game, we got Porvoo Butchers versus Kuopio Steelers. Who won or lost this one, Q? What do you say? What do you say?
I say the Kuopio Steelers won this game. I expected them to win this game. I expected it to be a higher score from the Kuopio side. But the Butchers made some great adjustments in the second half to keep them in the game. But I still think Josh Taylor still had a good game. I think he tried to hit big a few times, maybe where he shouldn't have. But overall, I think he controlled the game. They couldn't get him on the ground. He was very elusive in the pocket. He saved a lot of plays. He extended a lot of plays. His connection with Austin Brock is ridiculous. You know what I mean? It was a real chippy game on the Butcher side too. But I think Kuopio found a way to make the plays they needed to make early, enough for them to their defense to just, you know what, we might give up a little bit here and there, but we're not giving up anything major. And I think that's what helped them win the game. But we seen a test for both teams. I think this was a major test for Kuopio, and I think it was a gut check for Porvoo. Porvoo knows they have to beat teams like this in order to be even in talks of being in another championship. Right now, I think they shouldn't be worried about that. They should be worried about getting a little better on defense and getting this offense going consistently. But I think Kuopio was the better team in this game, and it showed. Their defense is stout, secondary stout. Kuopio is the real deal. Can they get better? Yes. But I think definitely they won this game fair and square.
What about you, Chris? What do you think?
Yeah, again, I agree with Q. The Steelers won this game. I mean, the Butchers didn't help themselves offensively, so you could argue that they lost it because their offense was almost null and void. Like, I feel like Brandon Gwinner, he's holding onto the ball for too long for my liking. He's not letting that thing go. And is that a mixture of receivers not getting open, or is it him just coming off his reads too early, or is it just the pressure from the defensive line, or a mixture of all three probably? Because the Steelers' offense is so powerful. Like, you've got to give your defense time to rest. And I don't think their defense did a bad job against them. I mean, they only let up 21 points.
Can I jump in here real quick, Chris?
Go.
Because you're talking about something I want to talk about is why can't the Butchers block this defensive line when they supposedly have a import American on their offensive line? Like, I'm super confused that, like, has anybody ever noticed that they have an American on the line? Like, the Butchers have an American on there.
I noticed he's like 52, 58 or something. 50.
Who cares? He ain't doing nothing. That's my point. And I think it's crazy that and they're not the only ones. And I know I'm kind of taking over the point here, but there's a couple of offensive linemen out here in Finland that are American born and taking a paycheck. Like, it's ridiculous because we don't even notice they're out there, and not to the point that, they're doing such a good job, you'll notice, but to the point that the team is still like quarterback scrambling all the time. And you have a guy who should be able to block their best player, which in this last game, you say that, Jamarcus Henderson was creating havoc. At no point was he stopped. And he went against the American in this game at some point. He went against everybody against Portland's offensive line, and he never was stopped. And for me, for that point, I'm saying, why do you have this guy here? Like, that's the one thing that I think Q said this before. If you're going to be an import, you need to be the best. And if you're not the best, what you doing out here? And I feel like the Butchers, if you look at a lot of the plays that they had in this game, Gwinner holds the ball a little bit too long. That's his thing. This is what is here. Year 3. That's what he does. That's how he plays. You got to block. You got to figure out a way to block. They've changed their offensive line a couple of times. They made some improvements in certain positions. They got rid of Osavada on the right tackle. That's cool, but you still got to actually block. And they're not able to block or protect their quarterback. And that's one reason they weren't able to get a lot of things done. He couldn't throw where he wanted to. When people did get open, he had to move off the spot. So he can't find an open receiver if he's having to scramble away from the spot to see them. And then when he does throw a ball, one thing that was really apparent from the difference in the Porvoo receivers and the Kuopio receivers is Kuopio receivers catch the ball. Wherever it's at, they catch the ball, minus the big drop that Austin Brock had. But a lot of times they're catching the ball, they're catching contested passes. Porvoo receivers, they didn't catch anything contested. The only person that was catching contested passes was your boy Mikko Sepinen. And he was coming through clutch for them, trying to make drives happen, but no one else was stepping up. No one else was catching a ball that hit them in the hands. They were getting hit in the hands with passes, and they were not catching those passes. And that's just showing evidence of who had better receivers in this game. And like we were talking about earlier, talking about Noah Choate becoming a better catcher of the ball. That's something that we're not seeing from these Porvoo receivers, is them catching balls that aren't easy. Anybody can catch it when you're wide open. It's when it's right in between the defender or the defender touches it and then you stay focused and make the catch. That's what separates you in games like this when the score is only 21-7. Like with that interception that Zach Wright had at the end of this game, Porvoo had a chance. They had a chance, but you knew it wasn't going to happen because it really relied on them throwing the ball to people that they don't really think can catch the ball in tough situations. The Kuopio Steelers defense was not great. It wasn't perfect. There was holes. There were plays to be made, but you had to go make them. And that's why I agree with you guys that Kuopio Steelers won this game, because they made plays. Not that they just took what was available. They made plays happen, and the Butchers just didn't do it in this game. Sorry, Chris, to jump in there on that, but like you're going where I wanted to go, and I had to get it out. I'm sorry.
It's organic. Sometimes it be like that. It happens like that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine. Like I'm good with it. I mean, you said all what was needed to be said. I mean, exactly that. The receivers weren't making plays. The Steelers made more plays offensively than the Butchers did. The Butchers defense didn't play terribly. They played all right. But I mean,
like the Butchers defense. I think it was good.
Yeah.
I thought the Butchers defense was very good. But I mean, again, I'm gonna give you your time, man. I kind of went on a soapbox. Sorry.
It's fine. I mean, you basically said most of the things I was going to say anyway. But yeah, I mean, the Steelers definitely won this game. I mean, there's no question about it. But there is some life in Porvoo defensively. Offensively, they just need to sort things out, because what they've got going on right now is just not working for them. They need to go back to the drawing board and sort this out, because something ain't clicking in Porvoo. This is not the Butchers that we saw last year. And I know they weren't great at the start of the season. They kind of put it together and got some good wins towards the end of the season, but they're going to need to do something of the same thing if they want to be repeating back to back, because at the moment, the two best teams are the Steelers and the Roosters. Simple as.
That's gonna be.
Yeah, I said it.
That's gonna be. I mean, yeah, you said it though. Like, I mean, there's some people that are gonna say you're wrong. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I'm gonna say it's open debate.
That's interesting.
I mean, we're gonna see two undefeated teams play this upcoming week, so I guess we'll. All right, that's it for this episode of American Football in Finland. Any last words before we get out of here, fellas?
No, I ain't got none.
Now, there's going to be some interesting matches next week, so I can't wait to talk about those in the next episode. But yeah, should be a good one.
All right. Last weekend is over, so you can catch us talking about the upcoming week of games right here on the AFF podcast tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe, follow, like, and share on all social channels at American Football in Finland. Until next time, never forget
T.
I.
F.
We gone.
We go.
We gone.